When I was growing up in New Jersey, I dreamed of having a passport to everywhere. But it was my code for the opportunity to see new lands and meet new people and to take in especially the extremes, the ends of every spectrum, so that you can understand where everything else falls in between. Well, I got that passport as a foreign correspondent for ABC News and Bloomberg Television. It's taken me to see life in the Islamic Republic, it's taken me to hunt for pirates off the coast of Somalia, and it's taken me to the heart of the revolution in Tahrir Square. And like Armin said, wherever I go, I try to take snapshots of culture in the news reports, but also for myself. I write them down in a notebook like this. This one's come with me from London to Kathmandu. And this is a snapshot of what's inside. In the middle there, Haqqik Halamak, literally, make your dreams real. It's from a home mortgage ad in Tunisia. And then on the right there, Ridd al-Waladain, my friend Sulah from Jordan wrote that in memory of her father. It's an Arabic Muslim concept of the special karma you get.
The blessing from parents passed from mother or father to child. A colleague from Turkey wrote this one, Deliye Hergun Bayram.
If you're mad, every day is a feast. In other words, if you're just crazy enough, you can have everything you want. Al-Ajila min al-Shaytan, that's Arabic for anything too rushed, probably comes from the devil. This one, you know, it's kind of blurry. Rise up and bring others with you. And below that, Vora jishte, vora pariye, angalini.
Have faith that what's true and what's right is what will work out in the end. I learned that from our TEDx organizer, Christine. And the last one, Satya Meva Jayate. It's an Indian proverb that the truth should win, no matter who else loses. So traveling around, you fill a lot of notebooks and you learn a lot, and even just the act of doing journalism evolves you, gives you lessons for life. And I'm so grateful for all of them that I wanted to share some of them with you today. So here are 5 things I've learned as a foreign correspondent that you can too. Number 1, perception can count as much as intention. It's not just what you intend, it's what you project that can get you in or out of trouble. I learned that traveling to Saudi Arabia. I landed in the middle of the night, I was making my way through Riyadh on my own, and I realized that because of how I look, I have to be extra careful. If you're a Western woman and you look foreign in Saudi Arabia, for the most part, people won't mess with you. Because of my dark features, I had this mix of an Eastern face and a Western attitude. And I had to be aware of how that could be interpreted. I had to be situationally aware. I might have to talk a little softer or
keep a lower profile. And I just thought of it as putting my hand on the volume of meanness and adjusting ever so slightly just to make sure you stay safe. Number 2, fear is amplified with distance. The further away you are from something, the scarier it seems. And I learned that over time traveling to Lebanon, a country that is routinely on the brink of civil war. Everything is calm, and all of a sudden, a bombing in Beirut or a shootout on the border. And every day, political parties at each other's throats, armed to the teeth. And from afar, it can seem pretty scary, especially when it's just this big bubble of fear and the airport's shut down and you need to drive your way into Beirut. But as you get closer, you can localize the fear, figure out what's real and what's hype, call people who know the terrain, figure out how to keep yourself safe. And just generally, get a sense of the objective volume, not the subjective fear. And that applies to a lot of things in your life. And at home, at work, a lot of things that seem threatening seem more threatening from far away because fear is amplified with distance. If you get up close, you can get a sense for what's real and what's hype. You can localize the threat, attack what you need, and keep yourself safe. Number 3. It's not who you know or what you know, it's how you work.
How hard and how smart.
Life, like journalism, is not a perfect meritocracy, but effort counts. When I started in media in New York City, I would often hear people say, it's who you know, it's not what you know. And I just didn't believe it, because I didn't know anybody. My parents were immigrants, we all started from scratch, and I just had to believe that that wasn't true. And then a producer friend of mine, Deborah Katz, in a miraculous moment of conversation, turns to me and says, Lara, it's not who you know or what you know, it's how you work. How hard and how smart. Because if you do it right, you'll learn what you need to know. And you'll meet who you should along the way. In the Middle East, there's a word for all the influence, all the benefits you get from knowing the right people and being able to pull strings. That word is wasta. It gets used a lot. How did that guy get a visa? Wasta. How did that girl get into college? Wasta. How did those guys build a factory on the beach? Wasta. Everybody hates it. Everybody wants it. But the truth is, if you work hard and you work smart, you can build your network. Work your wasta. Use your wasta for good and not for evil. But if you just throw your hands up because you weren't born into the wastocracy, that's giving up. Way too soon. Number 4, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take and some of the ones you do. That's borrowing some from Wayne Gretzky. But the idea is that you have to try with abandon and bounce back unscathed and unscarred when it doesn't work out. I have to remind myself that every time I try for a high-profile interview. I wanted to interview the President of Somalia. That meant putting in the request, finding his people, contacts who knew his people, getting to the Horn of Africa with a cameraman, and then sitting around and waiting. And when you're in the middle of trying and you're not sure if it's going to work out, it can feel pretty bad. And it can feel much worse if it doesn't work out. That time it did, but other times it doesn't. And the key is to bounce back. Treat the wins like the losses. Just figure that you're getting some of life's necessary fails out of the way. You can't weaken, and you can't stop trying. Number 5, my favorite. People are better than you think. They're not angels, they're not perfect, but they're better than you think. And that's because most of the time, we tend to fill in the blanks of what we don't know with the negative. All of us sitting in the audience here, we could see someone who's well-dressed and assume she's a snob, or see someone who's super busy and assume he's self-obsessed, because we fill in the blanks with the negative when you don't have to. For decades under Hosni Mubarak in Egypt, the Coptic Christian minority and the Muslim majority were at each other's throats. There was a lot of distrust, escalating violence, bombings, shootings, and whoever was responsible for it, whoever was behind it, it was dropping that blanket of distrust and negative assumption across those two communities. Then in the most beautiful moments of the revolution in Tahrir Square, they were up close. You had Christians circling the square, protecting the core, while the Muslims bowed to the ground in prayer. And then for Sunday Mass, it was the reverse. You had the Muslims protecting the core, while the Christians were bowing in prayer. Once they were up close and on the same side, they stopped making those negative assumptions. The word for optimist in Armenian is lavades, seer of good. Look for the good in people, for your sake and for theirs. I'm not saying be naive. I'm not saying don't be careful. I'm just saying there's no point seeing darkness and shadows when you don't have to, especially when they're not there. So in conclusion, how do I interpret reality? Turn truth into television, or at least try? By absorbing everything I can about the people and the places around me, and then doing everything I can to convey their essence. And you do that by flexing your empathy, sincerity, hustle, humility, and respect. By knowing when to ask for help when you're out of your depth, and how to ask for help graciously and gratefully, and with a readiness to be proven wrong. That's what I've learned in my work. I've taken it through my life, and it's made me so much richer. Thank you.